so what do we have in here? Developers? A couple developers, partners? All right, a lot of partners and any customers. All right, and great, awesome. Okay, so hopefully we'll be fielding a lot of questions from different parts. The main part that we want to talk about today is inventory management. That's one of those big, scary things that at the Intacct conference we kind of pass over, but we do actually do Intacct inventory management. QStock came in to fill that role. Obviously, I have a long background of inventory management in manufacturing. I'm a product manager, so we're developing a lot of systems that tie in. And Intacct is actually one of the perfect places to tie in because the transaction definitions mean that we can affect inventory and have it hit your GL the way that you want it to. My overall goal is to make sure that you can find it and ship it. That's the bottom line. When you have inventory, you want to put your hands on it. When the customer orders it, be able to tell how much you have to promise that customer. And after you promise the customer, you want to make sure that they get it the day that you had promised it, in the way that they promised it. You don't want to do a lot of overall checking on the back end. Some of our customers do up to 3 times. MSA Systems is the company. We do a lot with supply chain and mobility infrastructure. That means wireless devices. We have handheld devices, so you're scanning barcodes. We absolutely use barcodes. We do RFID. Most of our customers find that they do need barcode over RFID because RFID is more for automation. So we do have some that are on RFID, but it's very rare. QStock was developed for the small to mid-business market. Again, we think Intacct's the perfect person because of those inventory transaction definitions. Our customers range from food service to medical devices. In those industries, you're going to see a lot of lot tracking, serial tracking, and a lot of data that needs to be recorded in. We end up being a bridge between the floor and the cloud. A lot of your accounting is going to happen, obviously, in Intacct. We don't want to take over that role. We think Intacct does that very well. We give a view to the warehouse. So now you have people on the floor doing real-time transactions through a business process and moving through recording it real-time with barcodes. So you have inventory accuracy and efficiency. From the lead to cash process, as soon as we see a sales order, however that came into Intacct, we're going to allow them to hard allocate the inventory to that sales order, send a picker around through a pick pack to pick that order, create an invoice or a shipping document on the other side and marry those two. From Intacct, you're going to see it look like you had a sales order and you converted it to a shipper or an invoice. From QStock, the guys are going to see, I have a new sales order. It's going to direct them through their business process to pick and ship that order. Both sides see what they need to see, but not have to be in 2 separate systems. You don't have to go back and forth between them. Both will be in sync. Purchase to pay is very similar. We see a purchase order, they receive it. When they're done, it creates the receiving document to turn into a vendor invoice. We just added earlier this year a purchase requisition module, so you can create that purchase order from within QStock or initiate it. So if somebody on the warehouse floor can say, hey, I need 36 more widgets, they put it in the requisition, goes up to Intacct, somebody approves it, converts it to a purchase order, and now they can receive it again in QStock. Transfers go through a transfer warehouse. We use Intacct's same transfer process, a decrement out. We grab the cost, apply it as it goes through those transactions to the transfer warehouse and then into the destination warehouse. We use zones to kind of break up the inventory. I'll get into that in the future, but just kind of want to overview it that. We have various modules to break it up so we hit exactly what the customer needs and gives them the tool sets to do their job. And let's go past the implementation. I want to show actual software. All right, I think that's another monitor. There we go. Real time. Okay, so what this is showing you right now is a view of the inventory, what you have on stock, where it's located within your warehouse, the quantities, everything's in base and the unit that it's stored in, and through the warehouse. I like to show this one just because when I came on, I created this reorder report because to me this is valuable data to know not only what I have, but since I have all the information, I can tell you how much is on a purchase order, what's your min-max by warehouse, what's on a sales order, what are you planning to build. So we can say, here's what we recommend that you order, this is what we recommend that you manufacture to get to your maximum stocking levels that you're anticipating. So with QStock, you have the view of everything you need from the warehouse, and from the accounting side, you have everything that they need, and it looks like it all happened within Intacct, but all your reporting within Intacct still works. All right, is that 10? Do you have time for questions?
Oh, yeah.
I was kind of hoping for that because Intacct is one of those places where we get a lot of really great questions, especially around the manufacturing process, bill of materials, and traceability is one of the big things that comes through. We want to make sure that we do traceability, and we've helped other customers get into Costco, Whole Foods, because the FDA goes through and puts the requirement for ownership on the last mile. So to get into those places, they're going to ask you for your, they're going to give you an item number and a lot, and say, give me all the information on this. With QStock, it's a couple clicks of a mouse button. We give that to them in a nice report, and I try to give them as much information as possible and impress them so they don't ask for the next one. All right, who's got a question? Who has inventory? Okay, in the back.
Do you have the ability to do the bill of materials in production assembly?
The question was, do we have the ability to do the bill of materials in the production assembly? So within QStock, we get the bill of materials from Intacct. So you set it up as an item and they have subcomponents. We do a discrete assembly, so we're making just one. We do batch assembly. In that case, we take over the quantities of those items that are on the bill of materials and make recommendations on impacting and building that. But yeah, we get that information directly from Intacct. Another one over here.
And when do you get to a point realizing I really need to consider QStock?
You'll know it. If you're using Excel to manage inventory, that's usually a really good sign. You want to make sure that the customers that come to us usually are using Excel in some way, shape, or format to find out where it's at, because you might have 32, but it's more important to know where in your warehouse that 32 is located. The other part is you're probably growing at, most of our customers are about 30%. So when they come into us, you can't throw more people at that problem. You can only fit so many people in the warehouse, and you have so much tribal knowledge of where that product was located. We need a system to go through and say, when you have widget 1, 2, 3, go to aisle A, bay 32, rack C, so you know exactly where that is, and you can send somebody there and have it all automated. All right.
So when I create a sales order in Intacct, I create a demand against that product. What's the mechanism that QStock knows that there's now demand against that product?
So we have the sales order as well, and we
Is it automatically when you save the sales order and Intacct it updates QStock?
yeah, we have a flag on the sales order, so you can determine we have it marked as QStock status added field. We have marked it as send to warehouse. That's our flag to say, hey, QStock, you can own this one now.
Web service, once you say the web service.
Exactly. So that's how we run our query, and once we've seen it, we mark it as confirmed. So the guys in the office know they got this. If you want to, especially on the sales order side, generally we'll just auto mark it as send to warehouse so that QStock sees it. On the purchase order side, there's certain purchase orders that you're going to want to maintain just within Intacct. You know, your paper that you're getting to the printers, you don't necessarily need the warehouse to inventory that. So you can kind of choose how you maintain it. Gives you a little bit of flexibility on where that goes. But yeah, as it comes through, we bring it down as unallocated. We allocate the inventory to it. I mean, it's a hard allocation that 6 of that product is for that customer. So if there's 10 in it and another order comes down, it'll say there's only 4 available. So, and you can unallocate in order to allocate that product to another one.
Which is like the first customer service, maybe which order we get that out.
No, you can allocate on your own. So you can bring it down to auto allocate or allocate it on your own. And then if something is taken, you can unallocate one order, allocate that other order. Gives you the flexibility. In the warehouse, you need that type of flexibility. You have too much stuff going through. I saw another hand over here.
Can you put that slide up again, showing the purchasing flow?
Yeah.
And one other question. What if you have components? You buy components, put them together, and then sell the end product. Does it track that or anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So that would be the bill of materials, and we do it light manufacturing. So we would do a work order that's going to, depending on which work order you choose, It would send somebody through your warehouse through your normal picking process to pick that order, and they'll deliver it to a work in progress area. That quantity is staged in that work in progress area. When you receive the finished good out of it, we're maintaining everything in the system there. And you say close the work order, it goes through and shows you all the things that you've done just to confirm. We have a variant, so if it's out of variance, it requires a password. And when that goes up, it flushes through as a decrement of the raw materials. We query Intacct, grab the cost from that, and apply that to the finished good increment. Yeah.
So from a technology standpoint, is QStock like a standalone web-based app, and you just have API-level integration with Intacct?
So can you repeat the question about, I don't know if they can hear way back.
Thank you very much. I got that one first. All right, so he was asking if it's a standalone application or if it ties through web services to Intacct.
Well, not an or, but I was assuming that it's standalone and that it is tied through web services. But can you just comment on how it's integrated and built and all that?
So we're running on a MySQL or on a MS SQL Express database that we're hosting, and you have your own instance. So your application, your database is all your own version. We do that specifically because warehouse generally don't like to upgrade very much. So this gives them the flexibility to stay where they're at. We do tie in through web services to Intacct, so we're constantly querying and pulling and grabbing that information and bringing it back.
So the only thing of Intacct that you're using is what you can access via web services. You're not using any framework or platform stuff or anything like that? Okay.
Now, this keeps us out of Intacct because generally the guys that are working in the warehouse, we usually have one Nexus person that works in Intacct and in QStocks to make sure that they're able to validate the information in both. But the warehouse guys generally don't want to have it Intacct, and the Intacct guys generally don't want to have it in the warehouse. So I handed up over there. Yes, sir, in the back.
Any hardware requirement, I mean, would it work with an all Mac client?
Good question. Hardware requirements, especially around Mac clients, that has come up before. We do run it through RDP, so you can get to it that way. It makes it very easy to get to. For reporting purposes, that makes it a little bit more difficult. We can definitely talk about it and see how we can bridge that gap, because it is a Windows-based. So the client anyway. Yeah.
I'm not interested in inventory at all. I want to say that you did one of the best presentations I've seen. The slides were great. Your energy was great. It feels weird saying that because we don't get that, but you did such a great presentation that I want to figure out a way to bring inventory to my list. So very good job.
4 cups of coffee helps. But the other part is I love supply chain, and it's one of those weird things. But early on in my career, I just found that this is a really great area for most businesses to save a ton of money. If you're trying to make more money, you have to hire salespeople, train them, get them out in the field, acquire the new customers, get that out there. Or you have to develop new products, or you have to do something that takes a lot of time. With supply chain, all you really need to do is make small tweaks, and you can recognize huge savings. Most of our customers that we go into, they're doing full inventory counts, but they're calling them cycle counts. What that means is they do a full inventory count every month. They're stopping everything that they're doing. They're not receiving, they're not shipping, which means that they're not making money, and they're paying 2 to 3 days of overtime. So just by taking that out, we can usually do an ROI in a couple of months. So it makes a lot of sense to bring something like this in. I didn't even bring up cycle counts, but we can do counting as you're doing business. So, again, there's a lot of really great ways. So that's why I get pumped up. I usually have a slide at the beginning that says, if I talk too fast, I'm just excited, so slow me down and ask a question. Thank you. Yes, ma'am?
So we have unique inventory and live gift cards, and some have, they each have a unique number, but some is barcode and some is just magnetic strip. Do you have a way to track that?
The magnetic strip, I haven't done a reader for that, but it's essentially data. So what we would do is we just probably call it a serial number because it's going to be a unique number. And so you'd have the item number, which would be gift card, the serial number for that, and instead of a barcode reader, you'd probably have a stripe and just let it slip it through. So yeah, you can probably figure a way around that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.